Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly in your favorite chair, looking around a room that feels just a little too quiet, and thinking about companionship? Maybe it's after a holiday when the grandkids have gone home, or perhaps on a Sunday afternoon when the silence seems to stretch a bit longer than usual. It's in those moments that the idea of finding someone to share the sunset years with can feel not just appealing, but almost necessary. After all, we are wired for connection. And if you've lost a spouse or gone through a divorce earlier in life, the thought of a second chance at love later on can be a beautiful, hopeful thing. But here's the truth they don't put in the romance novels or the greeting cards: remarrying at 70 plus is a very different ballgame than it was at 30. The stakes are different. The needs are different. And if we're being honest with each other, the time we have to recover from a big mistake is shorter. I'm not here to discourage you from finding happiness, absolutely not. I believe in love at any age. But I am here to be that honest friend, the one who sits with you at the kitchen table with a cup of tea and tells you the things that need to be said before you take that big step. Because your peace of mind and your future security aren't just details to figure out later, they are the foundation of everything. So, if you are dating, considering marriage, or even just thinking about what companionship might look like in this chapter of your life, I invite you to watch this video series. We're going to walk through 5 essential truths together, things you absolutely must know to protect your heart, your home, and your happiness. Let's start with the first one, and it might be the hardest to talk about. The very first truth you have to face is this: love should not require you to sacrifice your financial stability or your independence. I know, talking about money feels unromantic, doesn't it? It feels cold compared to the warmth of holding hands or the excitement of having someone to travel with. But let's be practical for just a moment. After a lifetime of work, saving, and planning, you have likely built a small fortress of security around yourself. It might be a paid-off home, a pension, social security benefits, or savings you've carefully tucked away. This is your peace of mind fund, the thing that ensures you can pay your bills, handle a medical emergency, and live without being a burden on your children. Now, imagine merging that completely with someone else. It sounds lovely in theory, but I've seen it go sideways too many times. I had a friend named Carol. She was 74 when she met a charming man at a community dance. He was wonderful, attentive, and made her feel like a young woman again. They got married within 6 months. She sold her house, moved into his, and put all her money into a joint account to simplify things. Within 2 years, his adult children had convinced him to move to another state to be near them, and suddenly Carol was in a strange place, with no home to go back to and a diminished savings account. She loved him, but she lost her footing. The truth is, at this stage, you don't need to merge everything to prove your love. In fact, keeping things separate can actually strengthen the relationship. It removes the pressure of financial survival from the emotional connection. Think about keeping your own home, your own accounts, your own security. You can create a beautiful life together without dismantling the life you spent decades building alone. If he or she truly loves you, they will respect your need for security. They will understand that your independence isn't a wall, it's just a part of who you are. So, before you say I do to a person, you have to say I do to protecting yourself. Keep your name on the deed. Keep your savings in your name. Build a yours, mine, and ours plan if you must, but never erase yours. That leads us perfectly to the second truth, which is just as important. You are marrying a person, but you are also marrying their history and their family. When you marry someone in your 30s, you are building a future together from scratch. You meet each other's parents, you attend family gatherings, and you grow alongside them. At 70, you are stepping into a story that is already written. Your partner comes with decades of habits, traditions, and relationships that you had no part in creating. Most importantly, they come with adult children and grandchildren who have very specific ideas about their parent, their inheritance, and their family dynamic. And here's the delicate part: those children are not looking for a new mom or a new dad. They already had one. They might be polite, they might be welcoming, but deep down, there can be a well of protectiveness, suspicion, or even fear. Fear that you are after their parents' money. Fear that you are trying to replace their late mother or father. Fear that the family home, the vacation cabin, or the heirlooms they always assumed would be theirs will now somehow slip away. I want you to really hear this. It's not your job to make them love you, but it is essential to understand the landscape you're walking into. Before you marry, you need to have honest, open conversations with your partner about their family. Are they close? Are they controlling? How do holidays work? And more importantly, how does your partner handle conflict with their kids? Will they stand up for you and for your relationship when things get tense? Because they will get tense. You need to see your partner in action with their family, not just on a good day at a restaurant, but during a stressful holiday or a discussion about finances. If they crumble at the first sign of pressure from a son or daughter, that's a red flag you cannot ignore. You are not just gaining a spouse, you are gaining a whole new set of relationships that will require patience, grace, and very firm boundaries. Love can survive a lot, but it struggles to survive in an environment where you feel like an outsider in your own marriage. So, take the time to observe. Talk openly about how you will handle the big things: inheritance, wills, who gets mom's jewelry, and where you'll spend Christmas. If you can't have those hard conversations before the wedding, they will be 10 times harder after. These first two truths, protecting your financial independence and understanding the family dynamic, are the bedrock. They are the unglamorous, practical side of love that protects the romantic side from getting crushed by reality. Now, let's take a breath, and then we're going to move into the next piece of this puzzle. Because once we've secured the foundation, we need to talk about the day-to-day reality of living with someone again after so many years of doing things your own way. So we've laid the groundwork. We've talked about protecting your financial fortress and understanding that when you marry someone, their family, with all their history and hopes, comes along for the ride. With that foundation in place, we can start looking at the actual structure of the life you're thinking about building together. And this is where we get into the nitty-gritty, the stuff they don't put in the wedding vows. The third truth might sound a little funny at first, but I promise you, it's one of the biggest reasons late-in-life marriages hit rough waters. You have to figure out if you can actually live together, not just date. Dating is wonderful, isn't it? You get dressed up, you meet for dinner, you have stimulating conversations, and then you go back to your own space. You see each other at your best. But marriage at 70 is about 5 o'clock in the morning. It's about who leaves the toothpaste cap off, who hogs the remote, and what time the lights go out at night. After decades of living alone or living a certain way with a previous spouse, your routines are set in stone. And let's be honest, at this age, we are a little less flexible than we used to be. I'm not saying that as a criticism, it's just a fact. We know what we like, we know what we need, and we've earned the right to have our homes be our sanctuaries. I remember speaking with a gentleman named Henry. He was 76, spry as could be, and madly in love with a woman he'd met at his church. They had a wonderful courtship for over a year. They traveled together, laughed together, the whole 9 yards. When they got married, he moved into her condo. Within 3 months, he was miserable. Why? Because she was an early riser who loved to blast talk radio while she made breakfast at 5:30 a.m., and he was a light sleeper who cherished his quiet mornings with a book and the sunrise. She loved having her knitting group over every Tuesday, which filled her house with chatter, and he loved a silent house. These weren't character flaws, they were lifestyle mismatches. They loved each other, but they couldn't live together. So, what's the answer? Well, some couples are discovering the beauty of what's called living apart together. It means you are committed, you are married perhaps, but you maintain separate residences. You can have date nights, you can stay over, but you each have your own space to retreat to. It sounds unconventional, but it works beautifully for many seniors. If that's not for you, then you need to have a very honest, practical conversation about routines before you merge households. Who cooks? Who cleans? What's the TV schedule? Is there space for both of you to have a room that is truly your own? These aren't minor details, they are the fabric of daily life. If that fabric is full of snags and tears, the marriage will feel uncomfortable every single day. Now, let's move from the physical space to the emotional space. And this brings us to the fourth truth, which is perhaps the most delicate of all. You must be honest about what you are looking for, and it's okay if it's not a grand romance. There is so much pressure, especially in our culture, to frame every relationship as a fairy tale. We want the fireworks, the passionate love letters, the feeling of being swept off our feet. And if that happens for you, that's wonderful. Truly. But for many people over 70, the desire isn't for a whirlwind romance. It's for companionship. It's for someone to have dinner with, to watch a movie with, to share the news of the day with. It's for someone who will notice if you don't answer the phone, who will drive you to the doctor, and who will sit with you in comfortable silence. And here's the thing, both of those motivations are valid. The danger comes when you and your partner want different things but are too afraid to say it. I've seen it happen. One person is looking for a practical partnership, a +1 for life's events. The other is looking for a fiery, all-consuming love. When the reality sets in, when the practical person doesn't light up at every love note, or when the romantic feels suffocated by the calm, resentment starts to grow. You have to have the courage to say, here's what I need. Here's what I have to give. Is that enough for you? Maybe you just want a companion for travel and movies. Maybe you want a physical relationship. Maybe you want someone to help you in the garden. Maybe you want someone to leave an inheritance to. It's all okay, as long as you are both looking at the same picture. Don't pretend to want a grand passion if what you really want is a quiet friendship. And don't settle for friendship if your heart is yearning for more. That mismatch of expectations is a slow leak that will eventually deflate the entire relationship. So, take a quiet moment with yourself. Ask, why am I doing this? What do I really want from these years? Get clear on that answer before you have the conversation with your partner. It's the only way to ensure you're both building the same kind of life. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? We've protected your finances, looked at the family dynamic, considered the reality of daily life, and gotten honest about our deepest expectations. There's just one more truth to uncover, and it might be the most important one for protecting your long-term peace. It's about making sure your love story has a clear and fair ending, even as you're enjoying the beginning. Let's move on to that final piece now. We've been on quite a journey together, haven't we? We've sat down like old friends and talked about the things that really matter when you're considering marriage later in life. We've talked about protecting your financial independence, understanding the family you're marrying into, navigating the day-to-day realities of sharing a space, and being brutally honest about what you truly want from a partner. These are the heavy, important conversations that build a strong foundation. And now, we arrive at the fifth and final truth. This one is the keystone, the piece that holds all the others in place and ensures that your future, no matter what happens, remains peaceful and secure. The fifth truth is this: you need to have an exit strategy, not because you expect failure, but because you respect reality. I know. That word, exit strategy, it sounds so cold, so unromantic, so pessimistic. We walk down the aisle believing in forever, and that's a beautiful thing. But here's the reality of life after 70, forever is statistically shorter than it used to be. And more importantly, life can throw curveballs. Health changes. Circumstances change. Needs change. And sometimes, despite the best intentions, a marriage that started with love and hope can become a source of stress, exhaustion, or even danger. An exit strategy isn't a plan for divorce. It's a plan for protection. It's a way of saying, I love you, and I am fully committed to this partnership, but I also love myself enough to ensure that I am never trapped, stranded, or left with nothing. I want to tell you about a woman named Ruth. Ruth was 72 when she married a kind man from her bridge club. They were happy for several years. But as time went on, his health declined rapidly. He needed round-the-clock care, and Ruth, being a devoted wife, provided it. She poured her energy, her savings, and her time into caring for him. She loved him, so it didn't feel like a sacrifice at first. But when he passed away, Ruth found herself in a terrible position. Because they had pooled all their resources and she had never asked questions about the legal side of things, she discovered that his share of the house went to his children from a previous marriage. She wasn't left destitute, but she was left scrambling, forced to downsize and move out of the home she had cared for and lived in for years. She had no plan, and it cost her dearly. An exit strategy, or life strategy if you prefer a gentler term, simply means you have thought about the what-ifs. What if one of you needs to go into a nursing home? What if one of you passes away first? What if the relationship turns sour? Who gets the house? How are the assets divided? Have you updated your will? Have you clearly stated who gets what, especially when it comes to heirlooms or property you want to go to your own children? These conversations are not acts of distrust. They are acts of love, for yourself and for your children. It is far, far kinder to have these difficult conversations when you are both healthy and happy than to leave a mess for grieving families to fight over later. A good partner will understand this. A good partner will want you to feel secure. If someone balks at the very idea of a prenuptial agreement or a clear estate plan, if they say, "If you really loved me, you wouldn't need all that paperwork," that is a significant red flag. Love and paperwork are not enemies. In fact, clear agreements allow love to flourish without the shadow of fear and suspicion. So, when you are planning this beautiful next chapter, sit down with a lawyer, together. Do it with a professional who specializes in elder law or estate planning. Make sure your assets are protected, your wishes are clear, and your children are not left in the dark. Think of it as building a sturdy ship. You hope for calm seas and fair winds, but you still make sure the lifeboats are in good condition. It's just common sense. And that, my friend, brings us full circle. We've walked through all 5 truths. We've talked about keeping your money safe, navigating the complex waters of a new family, making sure your daily habits are compatible, being honest about your emotional needs, and planning for every possible future. If you take one thing away from our time together, let it be this: you deserve love, companionship, and joy in this season of your life. You absolutely do. But you also deserve peace. You deserve to rest easy at night, knowing that your home is your own, your future is secure, and your heart is protected. The right relationship at this age will enhance your life without demanding that you dismantle it. It will feel like an addition to the beautiful person you already are, not a subtraction. It will be 2 whole people, choosing to walk side by side, each bringing their full, complete selves to the table. You don't need to be completed by someone else, you are already enough. But if you find someone who makes the journey brighter, who adds to your joy without taking away your peace, then that is a treasure worth holding on to. I'd love to hear from you. Have you thought about remarrying later in life? What gives you hope, and what gives you pause? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. This is a conversation, and your voice matters here. If this video felt like a warm, honest chat with a friend, please hit that like button. It helps others in our age group find this community, too. And if you want to continue navigating these important life topics together, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Just click that subscribe button and the bell notification so you never miss a chance for us to sit down and talk again. Here's to loving wisely. Here's to living fully. And here's to protecting the beautiful life you've worked so hard to build. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.